All right, let me show you guys how I made this fishing themed epoxy river table. So I'm gonna start out by flattening the wood. If you don't know how to flatten wood, I use a router sled, not a planer. This is very controversial in the community of river tables and woodworking. A lot of people think that planers get wood flat, and they do with jigs, but you just don't get the same results as you do here. We got our wood flattened. What I'm gonna do is build a mold for it, okay? I think it's 17 by, let's go measure the other one real quick. So, we're at 26 by 17. All right, so let's do that. We're gonna go a little bit bigger so we can cut it down. So make your mark. And I always put this arrow so that way I know which way to cut, and this is. So we got our 17, but then you got to take into account the other side of the mold. So this is where we go. And second, measure twice, cut once. All right, so I'm just using a brad nail gun to get these together, and this actually holds together dining room tables. You don't have to do all the pocket holes and things like that. You can, but you don't have to, and you still get the end result. So don't make it more complicated than what it has to be. Like, seriously, don't do that. I'm going to line, like at this end down here, I'm gonna line this up with this. And that'll just give me that little bit of extra so I can square it off. So over here, I'm gonna mark this here. But that's just where I'm gonna cut here. So this is gonna make the cut. Okay, so now. All right, there we go. And let me show you. So from here, drop it in, and there's. All right, so I'm lining my frame with tuck tape. Everything that I used can be found in the description down below as far as resins and glues and tapes and caulk and everything like that. My Amazon storefront is where I buy everything off of Amazon, and you can just go to the different categories and everything is listed there. All right, so you're gonna flip this over, and then you're gonna wanna add some weight, and this is gonna give you your seal. So I push it down, and then on top of it, I put just a couple pieces of wood, and I actually hold it down with resin that I don't use. Okay, I mentioned before, now we gotta get this skin off of here. So, not skin, bark, whatever. I'm gonna do this with an angle grinder and a flat disc. And we're just gonna take it off, and then we'll be ready to pour, okay? So I get the question a lot, like, can't you leave the bark on? Can't you leave this on? You can, but you don't want to. Like, that is going to give you an unstable river. It's going to crack down the line, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. So after that, all your 90s are cut, everything is cut. Now you're going to put it into your frame, and then you're going to pour your base layer of resin. I use Promise Epoxy for all of my pours, whether it be this one right here, my deep pour, it doesn't matter. So this brown is Bushido brown. I will link it down. It is from Eye Candy. It'll be down in the description. I do have a promo code for them. And that's going to be right here. But like I said, I got the links and the codes and everything down in the description. All right, so you put your brown in. I do about a 1/4 inch roundabout. And if you don't know how to find volume, I do have a video for that. Look up in the top right hand corner and I will link it right there. Next I'm putting in sand. So there's different ways to put sand in. I do a lot of beach theme and a lot of water themes. And there's different techniques. I will make a video on showing all of the techniques that I use for sand. After this, I put in some stones that I gathered from the Great Lakes. Now, these are Petoskey stones, Charlevoix stones, pudding stones, any kind of fossils and things like that. We have some amazing freaking rocks here in Michigan. After that, I am just putting a layer of tabletop resin, and this is Promise Epoxy's tabletop. I'm going to do a little layer of that over top of here just so that way things don't float. I was really unsure if anything was going to float, but it really didn't. I just wanted the rocks to stay in place and everything to stay in place. All right, so then I add in the moss and the fishing lures, and these are really cool 3D fishing lures that I put in here. I found them on Amazon. I will link them as well. I've done a couple pieces with these and they really sell good. I don't know if it's because they look like fish and I stand them up or like, I'm not sure, but they look really cool. All right, so next we're doing our Promise Epoxy deep pour. I don't use any other resins for my deep pour unless I'm doing a product review for them. There's a lot of people that send out their stuff and they want me to review their products, but I promise you, I do clear pours because I cast things like this in there and I have never gotten the results that I get with Promise. So if you follow me from old videos, you'll see that I use Incredible Solutions. They rebranded into Promise, and I just followed them over. But that was quite a while ago. After you pour, you're going to get rid of all of your bubbles. And then if you wait about 10-15 minutes, you can come back and get rid of the rest of them. After that, you wait about 72 hours, and then you come and you demold everything. All right, so when it comes to tools like this, I really like to hit up estate sales. And when I do, I usually find some really cool stuff, like older stuff, and they just don't make things like they used to. But you can find like really helpful tools at estate sales. So try that. I actually skipped the whole sanding process, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. I'm doing a flood coat on here. If you don't know how to get the perfect epoxy finish, I'm actually coming up with the e-course, but I do have a quick YouTube video on it as well. So I will link that up in the upper right-hand corner. Next, you're going to sand off your drips. So I like to use a flap disc, the same flap disc that I used for getting that fibrous layer off of the live edge. And you're going to want to get these drips down, whether this way or with a file, because you don't want to rip your pad, your sanding pad. Trust me. All right, so I use Starbond CA glue, but I do use a different activator. If you don't know what CA glue is, I've got a video on that. I will link it up top. This is all before I got my Rotex, my FESTOOL Rotex. And yes, a random leaf just fell on my stuff. All right, we're getting the legs on here, and my client was so happy with these tables. This is actually number 2 of 2. But I'll show them both in the end. And these triple hairpin legs are like so freaking cool. All right, you guys, like, follow, share, subscribe. I will see you guys next time. And here is the sister piece to that. Yes, that is a Petoskey stone. Like I said, Michigan has amazing freaking stones. If you got any questions, drop them down below and I got you. Also, I've got a membership subscription over on Instagram. I will link that down below as well. All right, you guys, see you next time. Bye.